Hi, everyone, and welcome to our third and final AMA session. So nice to see so many of you join today as well. Today, we will be talking about xSuite, microservices, and React. So I am going to invite all of our wonderful speakers to the stage who will be able to answer all of your questions.
Welcome everybody to our third AMA session. Today we will be covering microservices, having Tran here, React Native, having Stan, xSuite, having Lucas, and any other questions that you may have from SDKs and smart contracts, questions that you did not ask in the last two AMAs. As you already know, I'm Mihai, and as we already did for the last AMAs, together with Clara, we will be moderating today's meetup. So let's start with the introduction of our guests today. I'll be asking each of you to say 2 or 3 words about the workshop that you created, about yourself. So, Traian, welcome.
Nice to be here. I'm currently at MultiversX. I am leading the microservices department and also working on the xCards project. But today's focus will be more about the microservices. Really glad to be here, and I'm really curious what questions you have here, and I will be glad to answer them all.
Thank you. For React Native, we have Stan. Welcome, Stan.
Hello, everybody. My name is Stanislav Sava. I'm the tech lead of the Exportal team, the React Native part. And yeah, I'll be answering any React Native or any React questions you have. Pretty similar. So can't wait to see your questions.
Great. And we also have Lucas. He joined also in the first AMA, but today he joined for presenting xSuite and answering any questions regarding to xSuite.
Hi, everybody. So I'm Lucas. I work for as part of the xEchange team, and also I'm a co-founder of Arda. And very recently we released xSuite, and basically it's a library to help you to init, build, test, and deploy your MultiversX smart contract super fast and with high quality testing. And I will be very happy to answer any question regarding this.
Perfect. And for those of you, as I already said, who might have missed our previous sessions, or probably you have other questions for Robert and Andrei. We've ensured that no stone is left unturned, so they are joining. Probably they already introduced themselves, so maybe we can continue with a couple of quick pointers about the questions. Please keep your questions concise. If we need further information on the questions, we will ask them, and please provide them in the chat. We will address as many questions as possible. If we see that after less than 45 minutes there are no questions left, probably we can also discuss about some rules, and probably we can also be closing the event faster. So without further ads, let's dive in and let's see what's the first question. So the first one is for Stan. Stan, what's the learning curve for React?
Well, that depends from what environment you're coming. If you're coming from functional environment, it's pretty easy. The JSX, I think, is the most tricky part. You have to wrap your head around it. But once you get a hang of it, it's really hard to use any other libraries or languages because it seems like they're lacking the reactivity of React. So it's a bit steep at the beginning, but once you get a hang of it, it really pays off. I think that's why it's the most popular library for JavaScript, because it's really nice to use and it's really stable and you have a really great development experience with it. I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, maybe feedback from Dan will be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much, Stan.
Also, just very short on this, like it might be steep at the beginning, but I mean, you will be able to do apps that works on Android and iOS also at once. So
yeah,
you save a lot of time also by going in this direction. So
yeah, it's very interesting because React was made for the web, but if you learn React or if you start with React Native, you can switch sides really fast. I mean, it's just the elements in the JS6. 90% of the logic is mostly the same. So you're kind of covered on all grounds. It's pretty nice.
Yeah. So let's see what other questions. So on the questions, there are no questions on the questions tab. And in the chat, let's see, Dan is typing something. In the meantime, probably I can go through the rules of the hackathon. Today we published new workshops for you. You can find them on YouTube under the playlist of technical sessions. I'll also drop a link here, so all of you can access it. Just 1 second. Yeah. I would be very curious to know if somebody has any other suggestions on other materials that we should prepare for the technical sessions playlist. That would be quite interesting. Cool. So as we already stated, it's very important for the participants that register to be part of a country where they can receive the prizes in the case they win it. And it's very important that every participant will comply with all the hackathon guidelines and terms of service. It's very important for each team to clearly state to which track they are submitting their project. Same project cannot apply to multiple tracks, but a team can develop projects for multiple tracks. Also, team members can be part of several projects. So if one team member is part of a team, he can participate in other teams for different projects. It's very important that projects that were developed prior for another event or projects that have been used in other hackathons, those won't be eligible for winning a prize. The teams should not be bigger than 6 members, but we don't have a minimum number, so they can start from a sole hacker or developer to 6 members. I see a question from Terry. What do you mean by eligible country, please? I'll be sharing the list of eligible countries. Also here. We have a question from James. Is there any example of issuance of fungible token on MultiversX? Andrei, can you answer this?
Sure. You can issue fungible tokens directly from the web wallet, or you can prepare your transaction to issue the fungible tokens, or for that matter, any other kind of tokens, and then broadcast the transaction to the network. You can create your transaction by hand. It's a quite easy format to prepare the transaction by hand and then sign and broadcast it. And you can also prepare it using the JavaScript library that we have. There's a lot less documented component that's called token transaction management, token management transactions factory, and that's the component that would help you to do this. It has tests where it's implemented. I will link it here. So it's easy to follow the tests and then do the same. It's not documented in the official cookbook. That's on the docs. But yes, you can create. So the short answer, you can do that in at least three ways: web wallet, or by hand then broadcast it using any tool that we have, or using the SDK. I will link one example here. But you should first read the docs on this, just to see how a transaction looks like. Then you should go to the code. Only afterwards. So what Ryan posted is perfect for start, and I will post a second link if you are interested in JavaScript.
Great. Oh, okay. Too many characters. But Nigeria is a supported country, yes. As a response for Tari. Cool. Let's continue with until further questions are coming. Probably if we go through the rules and no questions pop in, probably we can close it. As for the submission, it's very important that you create a very detailed project description where you outline the purpose, functionality, and the features of your product. This will be also taken in consideration when the evaluation will be done by our judges. Robert is also in the jury, so he will pay attention to a lot of aspects. It's very important to create a presentation video. You have to submit it in order to showcase your project. This video will be played on the secondary stage if you are a winner, but not the first prize winner. And if you are the project that wins the first prize, your video will be showcased on the main stage. You have to create business case. So have a clear business case, highlight the problem you aim to solve, what's your market, your target market, how your solution will fit in the existing market, what's your roadmap for the period, the next period of time, I don't know, 6 months, 1 year, more than 1 year. Very important is to have a functional product to present at the end. Call it MVP, so minimum viable product, or a prototype. But it's very important for the jury to be eligible to test it, or to judge it. And it's also important to consistently update your project after making the first submission. Because regularly updating the product will also keep us as organizers and also the community aware of the progress. Keeping this transparency will ease a lot the evaluation process in the last day, on the 21st of October. Please refer to the playbooks that we are going to publish. It is very important for you to take those in consideration, especially when submitting the project. We have a quality threshold. So the project will be evaluated by a minimum of 3 jury members. So we have around 20 jury members, but each project has to be evaluated by a minimum of 3 jury members in order to ensure a comprehensive review. If a track has only one project submission, this does not mean that it automatically secures a prize. The project will be judged based on predetermined by a pre-communicated, because we also communicate the quality threshold. For instance, you have to score at least 70 out of 100 points. Great. So we have a question. 1 second. Dan said, do you recommend any noob-friendly CSS framework which goes smooth with React?
There's a couple of options. From what I see, we have a lot of Tailwind fans. Tailwind is great, but the problem with it is that you have to memorize some stuff, some commands. And it's pretty, I mean, if you're into memorization, that's great. It's not bad, it's just this issue. Then there's the other approach where you write the CSS by hand and you have little prefabs, so to say. So Material UI would be a good idea if you want to go that route, or Chakra. I think somebody mentioned Chakra. There's a couple of projects there. They're pretty big, and they have a lot of pre-built elements that you might want to use, like buttons or icons or drop downs, etc. So it depends on which route you want to go. It's worth exploring both of them and deciding on the spot. So either Tailwind on the one side, or maybe Material UI or Chakra on the other side.
Thank you very much, Stan.
No problem.
Let's see. Next question coming from Dan. Should we have public repos until the project submission? Yes, I think our colleagues from Encode will be distributing a form, probably starting next week, I hope. Clara, can you provide more insight on this?
Yes, sure. So we will have a type form included in the hacker pack that has already been sent out. The type form will be uploaded to this hacker pack sometime around next week. For those who want to do really, really early submission, that's always nice. And you do need to submit a few different things. So that will include the code base, and you need to keep the repo public for all the judges to review, and a README describing the project in detail. We also want to see a video demonstration, so just a short demo to show the full functionality of the project. And then there are a few optional things that you can choose to include as well if you want to, like a pitch deck and a technical paper, maybe a live website. But the code base will need to be published. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Though we have two exceptions, and we said that for games and metaverse track plus for mobile apps, it is not mandatory for the entire code base to be public, because we know that some of the code may represent business logic that it's important to stay private. Another question from Discord: is it acceptable to remove the tokenomics information from our project's white paper to meet the hackathon rules, even though we had previously published it? Considering that we haven't offered a token for sale or made binding promises to our community, does this still align with the rules? This has to be analyzed, so please contact me on Discord and we can discuss there. You can find me under the nickname which is in the bracket, so it's Chimich. I don't know how to spell it. Laurentiu said, If you want something easy to get started with, you should try using a component library instead of writing the styles yourself. Chakra is great for this. Thanks, Laurentiu, for the insight. Yeah, so hand in hand with what our hacker or our developer from Discord asked, as I was saying, mobile apps and gaming and metaverse exceptions. We have some exceptions here. So distinctive app or game engines, basically, as we already said, are what make these projects unique. And we know that it's impossible to develop in just 30 days something very of high quality and something which can be considered top tier. That's why we allow those projects to only disclose the portion of the code base that demonstrates the Web3 integration with MultiversX blockchain or xMoney, xPortal. So basically products from our ecosystem. We also accept early stage projects. This comes hand in hand with the question. So we welcome submissions from early stage projects across all tracks. But as we already stated, it's very important that this project must not have been submitted to any other hackathon previously. This project should not have secured any external investment and should not have any published tokenomics. That's why it's very important for the previous question, the requester of the previous question to contact us to see the exact details of the published tokenomics. Before registration, this project, which is in early stage, must clearly state its current status and publicly declare what they aim to develop or implement during the hackathon. This can be done in the project description or the README file, how Clara said, but it's very important to state this is the status of the project. We are going to implement A, B, C, D features, and we are going to publish these features because of the Web3 integration or because it can be published. It's not a business secret, to say so, under the business secret jurisdiction. Also, a very important thing is to document everything as good as possible. So let's go to the next point from Razvan. If we'll have multiple repos and some of them are not yet started, and also not much work has been done on the client app yet, more on the smart contract side design, should we wait and submit a bit later on or update the submission somehow later? You will have the chance to update the submission as often as you can or you want. So it's very important, as I already said, to submit now and make updates as often as possible so that it will ease a lot our work as organizers to judge the products on the last day. So on the 20th of October and the 21st of October. Levi asks if for the DeFi track, must we make public all the Rust smart contract codes? As long as they are not, as I said, under the business logic jurisdiction, yes, you have to make them public. If part of the submission is a PR to a current MultiversX open source project, will it be considered by the jury the same as an own repo? Yes, so any line of code that you added and brings value will be considered by the jury. Are PWAs considered for the mobile track? This is a good question.
I think the mobile stuff in progressive web apps is just an enhancement, but I do think they're web applications at their core. It's just nice to have them as PWAs. Just ease of access from a mobile, but at their core, they're web apps.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool. I think we will be waiting for 3 more minutes. And if there are no other questions, probably we can call the day. Are there any other words from our colleagues, Traian, Robert, if you want to say something to our hackers?
I don't know exactly. Would be we put a bit of effort into documenting both the more basic way and the more complex way of building a microservice. Maybe I could fill in the gap and say a few words about what are the best practices when building a project. So usually, of course, there's a lot of focus when building the app. On the front-end side, it should look good, it should work nicely, it should be Web3 and perform all these cool tasks. But it's also very important to think from the first moment to also have a microservice that sits behind that project, because once you for as long as you have a few users, it's okay. But once you start having a lot of users, you will may find yourself having some scaling issues, and it is a good practice to prepare your architecture for a lot of load, because that's what usually happens. There's not so much usage, and if the idea is good, there will be a lot of traffic going to your project. Lucas is smiling. He knows also how it is. So it's really, really important to also think about having a microservice, even if the project is small, does not seem like it's doing much. And a lot of abstraction, a lot of private communication with third parties that may require some sort of authentication can be handled through microservices. And there's also, it is sometimes easier to update a microservice than to update the front end, especially with regards to browser caches. Sometimes, depending on the framework that is used, it's sometimes difficult to refresh the content instantly when updating a microservice.
Also, there are a lot of MultiversX APIs that are open source. And just mentioning because it's very useful to look at how the MultiversX team is doing all these things.
Great. I see that we have some other questions from Levi. Yeah, web applications are definitely not eligible for the mobile track. So the short answer would be no, they are not eligible for the mobile track. Or yes, they are not eligible for the mobile track. One question from Julian. Are the project evaluation criteria already been published? Link. No, the project evaluation criteria are going to be published during this week. We still need some feedback from some of our judges. As soon as we have this, we will definitely publish it. Good question from Bogdan. Can we have some tutorials regarding Elasticsearch and how to bypass limits of complexity transactions from API? Traian?
Yes, sometimes we get this question from time to time. So first of all, the way we have configured our our internal Elasticsearch instances is that you can only fetch 10,000 records at most at one time. What you can do, for example, let's say you want to fetch all the transactions on chain, which are, I don't know, a few 100 million right now. You can use the cursor API from Elasticsearch, meaning that you can fetch 10,000 and then you can fetch the next 10,000 and so on, based on the criteria that you set. And that is something that you can do by targeting the Elasticsearch directly. For certain endpoints on the API, you can do something similar. For example, when fetching, if you want to scroll beyond 10,000 transactions, you can fetch the timestamp of the last transaction so you can fetch 10,000 transactions, and you can take the timestamp of the last transaction from those 10,000 and put it in the before filter. So you can say, I want to get the next 10,000 transactions before the timestamp of the last transactions of those 10,000. And then you can get a fresh set of 10,000 transactions. And with this strategy, you can basically scroll also back to the start of the chain. And some, if not most, of the endpoints that offer timestamp also offer filtering with the before criteria.
Thank you very much, Traian. Julian is asking if will there be any templates for the project business plan? Definitely. My colleague Alex, he could not join us today, but he will be mainly responsible for business plan templates, and we will post them in the developer resources from the hackathon category in Discord. Levi is asking when will this AMA be published so he can watch the part with the optional public repo thing again. I think the AMA is going to be published in 1 or 2 days, right, Clara?
Yes. So the video recordings are should be up within the next day. That's the usual rule.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
And they will also have timestamps. So hopefully I just saw that comment now. So hopefully you'll be able to find the right thing and you don't have to sit through the whole thing.
Great. So I think this is it for today. It's shorter than the other 2 AMAs. Thank you everybody for joining. Soon we will come with updates regarding the free tickets for the hackers, eligibility criteria, also evaluation criteria, more information on the submission form, and also where all the projects that have been submitted will be made public so that the community can scroll through them and know upfront what's going to be presented for the hackathon. Thank you very much. Thank you, Traian, Robert, Lucas, Andrei, Stan. Thank you, Clara. See you next time.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Yeah.
See you.
Bye.
See you. Bye bye.
Bye.